accelerates at a continued rate, and it goes unchecked, and it'll just rip. And I'm terrified by it.
From 2020 until now, we've seen the worst of the worst natural disasters and pandemics. Ranging from deadly hurricanes and wildfires to massive earthquakes, it's as though the Earth is angry for some reason. Well, things may get worse because NASA has just raised an alarm that North America is about to witness the worst disaster ever in 300 years. What sort of disaster are they talking about? And how did they arrive at this conclusion? Also, what are the chances of survival in the incoming disaster? Join us in this video as we discuss how NASA just announced that North America's worst disaster in 300 years is about to happen in 2023. According to data from the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reductions, climate-related disasters have surged significantly over the past 20 years. In just the 10-year gap between 1980 and 1999, over 3,000 climate-related events occurred, and between 2000 and 2019, over 6,000 such disasters were recorded. The year 2020 seemed to mark a climax, because even while the whole world fought the coronavirus, terrible events were still happening in our weather and climate. Some catastrophic events recorded that year include the volcano eruption in the Philippines, the earthquake in Turkey, the flash floods in Indonesia, Hurricane Laura in the US, and Hurricane Eta in Central America. These events claimed hundreds of lives. However, some of the most terrible disasters in the history of humanity are still those that occurred centuries ago, like the Huanghe flooding of China in 1931. This event led to the death of millions of Chinese, with incalculable damage. The severe destruction and chaos couldn't allow officials to determine the actual death toll, but the estimate is 4 million people. Similar disasters have occurred in recent years, even in 2022. For instance, Afghanistan, India, Nigeria, and Brazil floods claimed hundreds of lives. The Indonesian and Afghanistan earthquakes claimed thousands of lives. In Nigeria, the floods displaced millions. Given these facts, it seems the Earth is following a pattern, and it begs the question, why are these events occurring more rapidly now? Are there any scientific explanations for these? Well, yes, there are. You see, our Earth is changing and changing fast. It's not just global warming or ozone layer depletion we have to worry about. So many other changes are happening to our planet, and these changes will surely affect our weather and climate. A significant aspect of the Earth that's been depreciating is its magnetic field. As you may know, the magnetic field is a vital property of our planet. Without it, some serious flares from our sun would get into our atmosphere and cause damage to humans, plants, and animals. But scientists have discovered that this magnetic field has weakened over the years. In fact, Professor Nicholas Tovani of the European Center for Teaching and Environmental Geosciences deduced that the Earth's magnetic field has decreased by at least 30% in the past 3,000 years. And this is due to several processes going on in the Earth's core. It is expected that the Earth's magnetic field will reach a critical low very soon, probably within the next 100 years. But one area of the Earth's magnetic field has always been of concern to researchers, and it is this area that also puts the Earth at risk. This area is called the South Atlantic Anomaly. The South Atlantic Anomaly is where the Earth's radiation belt dips down to a very low altitude, coming very close to the Earth's surface. This anomaly creates a weak spot in the Earth's magnetic field and could be quite consequential to us, especially South America. Over the past few years, scientific observations have revealed that this spot has further weakened by 6%. The consequences of this will be massive solar flares penetrating the Earth's atmosphere, followed by an outbreak of radiation-related diseases, destruction of our satellites, and epic northern lights in the region. But here's the thing. The anomaly's negative impacts may not happen this year. In fact, it may take a few more years before the impacts are felt on the surface. However, worse has even been predicted to happen this year, which, according to NASA, will hit so hard, especially in the Northern American regions. This disaster will be the greatest North America has ever felt in 300 years, and it will come all because of another anomaly in the Earth, the San Andreas Fault. In case you're wondering how this anomaly poses a threat to the people of North America, it's pretty simple. Earthquakes. Over the years, we've had several devastating earthquakes, some of which we mentioned earlier in this video. But have you ever imagined what it would be if an earthquake of magnitude 10.0 were to hit a city? Surely no previous quake in Earth's history has reached this mark. The highest so far was a 9.0. But scientists have predicted that the San Andreas fault line may just bring about some doomsday tremors, and there's a chance it will happen this year. Now, I know an earthquake of magnitude 10.0 sounds like a fairy tale or an exaggeration, but if you study this part of the Earth closely with a scientific lens, you'd realize that it may not be an exaggeration after all. You see, the San Andreas Fault is a point in the Earth where the North American plate and the Pacific plate meet. Just so you know, the Earth's crust is divided into large tectonic plates or rock slabs that are constantly in motion. But one thing is certain, they meet at some point. And when two tectonic plates meet, it's never funny because the Earth there is very unpredictable. Disastrous tremors can emerge at any time. One of the most remarkable quakes in the Earth's history is the cataclysmic Lisbon earthquake of 1755. The terrible quake read 8.5 on the moment magnitude scale and claimed the lives of about 60,000 people and created a massive tsunami that swept across the Atlantic. It took quite a while for scientists to figure out why such a terrible quake occurred, even when the nature of the continental plate there doesn't quite fit for an earthquake of that magnitude. You see, while the Earth's rocky inner layer remains stable or motionless, the tectonic plates that make up the outer shell glide over it. The Earth's surface is divided into 8 minor and 7 major plates. The largest plates are the Eurasian, North American, and Antarctic plates. The average thickness of tectonic plates is 125 kilometers, though some plates can be as thick as 200 kilometers. These thicker plates are called continental plates, while thinner ones which measure 100 kilometers, are called oceanic plates. Since the Earth is spherical, these plates are fractured into several curved sections. Although Portugal is located close to the boundary of the Eurasian and African plates, it still didn't warrant an 8.5 scale earthquake. Earthquakes of that magnitude only occur in areas where the oceanic plate sinks under the continental plate, thus leading to massive aftershocks. Portugal's oceanic and continental plates don't fit this description. They blend nicely. However, geologists detected a rupture in the Earth's crust between the oceanic and continental plates, which was why it happened. The San Andreas Fault in California is one such area with potential for something this destructive. It was first discovered by a professor named Andrew Lawson in 1895 and was named after the nearby San Andreas Valley. You could see this fault line very clearly from a bird's eye view over the region. You could also tell from the rocks here. The gray metamorphic quartz here belongs to the Pacific plate, while the rich brown sandstone and siltstone are from the North American plate. You can also see a black layer of black rock between the two layers. This is where the actual fault line is. The San Andreas Fault is the most well-known meeting point of tectonic plates because it consists of 2 of the largest plates. But this spot is even more famous because it is regarded as the origin point of one of the greatest disasters in the history of California. You may have even watched the movie titled San Andreas, which was centered on the history and tragedy surrounding this natural phenomenon. The disaster depicted in the movie is a blatant exaggeration of the actual minor earthquakes that hit this region several times a year. However, given the recent warnings and data from geophysicists and experts at NASA, it's safe to say we may find ourselves with a typical level of destruction depicted in this movie if the predicted earthquake hits North America in 2023. To understand things better, let's dive a bit into the structure and mechanics of this fault line. You see, the San Andreas Fault forms the tectonic boundary between the North American and Pacific plates. Experts describe the motion in this spot as a right lateral slip motion. Simply put, these two plates are slowly scrubbing past each other in a horizontal direction. There are 3 distinct segments of this fault. each bearing its unique characteristics. But most of all, the varying degree of slip rate makes this fault very unpredictable. Slip rate in this context refers to how fast or how slow one plate glides or moves past the other. Scientists deduce slip rates by observing and measuring the degree of offset of geological features across a fault. Usually, the slip rates for geologic faults lie in the range of a few centimeters per year. But sometimes, these points in the Earth's crust can move at twice or thrice this speed, or may even slow down, and scientists don't really know why. The San Andreas is one of the well-known fault areas on the Earth, with varying slip rates. Scientists believe this fault has been responsible for or directly related to several of the earthquakes in North America. Several tremors occur in these regions, especially in California and Alaska, most of which go unnoticed to the rest of the world since they're just on small scales of 4.0 to 5.0. The San Andreas is suspected to be directly responsible or partly related to these occurrences because it extends into Southern California and also formed millions of years ago in the mid-Cenozoic era. Also, geologists have discovered the unique way and direction these plates are moving. The North American plates seem to be moving towards the Pacific plate in a southwestern direction. This, they believe, is causing a lot of compressional forces to build up and get dissipated to nearby regions. It is important to note that many people reside in the region of this fault, and quite a number of towns and major roads are on it. There's even a railway tunnel that passes right through this fault. So it goes without saying that it would be truly disastrous if the plates give in and create massive tremors, as NASA predicts. In case you're wondering why this hasn't happened already, it's because massive slippage of plates takes time to build up. The pressure from the compressional forces in this region has been building up over the years, and it's only a matter of time before it finally slips in the form of one massive earthquake. This is why experts and scientists are worried. The risks with fault lines like these are very high. If a major earthquake were to occur in San Andreas, it'd cut off the major transportation routes in several parts of North America. Places from California all the way to Los Angeles will be affected. But here's the thing. Scientists have revealed that a major stress relief from the San Andreas fault system has yet to occur since 1857. So you can say that the stress in this fault has been building for over 150 years. Given such a long time, it's certain that the impact of this incoming earthquake will be very high and may affect other areas besides North America. A few years ago, the Southern California Earthquake Center Director Thomas Jordan announced that the San Andreas Fault was in a critical state. He added that the fault could generate a massive earthquake at any time without warning. According to him, the southern portion of the fault line looks ready for such an event. So far, since 1857, the only significant relief stress this fault has had is in the 1906 incident, the severe earthquake that hit the San Francisco Bay Area. If you count from 1857 to date, you have 166 years. This falls within the range for catastrophic earthquakes. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, catastrophic earthquakes are bound to occur approximately every 200 years. You can see that the San Andreas is nearly ripe for a massive outpouring of tremors. The good thing is that seismologists keep their eyes and ears to the ground to pick up even the slightest signals and alert the public on imminent dangers. Scientists have even created a model to study how the incoming earthquake will affect the region and whether it could spread to other areas. Suppose the earthquake reaches 9.0 scale or more. It may create severe ripple effects that'll travel to other regions like Indonesia, Australia, New Zealand, and Latin America. Such effects may be felt as tsunamis or strong, terrible weather changes. Generally, scientists expect this coming earthquake to be in a magnitude of 7.5 or more. Experts also predict the death toll will be in the range of thousands, as there will be aftershocks even several days after the event. There's no telling what parts of the cities will survive. Buildings will get damaged severely, especially since experts have predicted fire to accompany the event. In fact, a seismologist named Lucy Jones believes the fire damage after the earthquake could be far worse than imagined if the Santa Ana winds were blowing when the earthquake hit North America. The Santa Ana winds are strong, dry winds that blow from the inland into coastal areas like California. They are largely responsible for the wildfires that randomly occur in the region. Let's bring back to mind the great earthquake of April 18, 1906, that sent massive tremors from Eureka to the Salinas Valley. Soon after the tremors, massive fires broke out, and it took the authorities several days to put them out. This event was only a 7.8 scale, yet it destroyed more than 80% of the city, killed more than 3,000 people, and amounted to losses of over $400 million. So you can imagine how much damage a quake of a larger scale will cause in this region. Apart from wildfires, there's the possible event of tsunamis from the aftershock. This may send huge water waves crashing into the land, causing floods. It will certainly be challenging if things go as predicted, and this earthquake hits in 2023. Damages to properties can rake up to billions of dollars. Several lives will be lost, plus many more will be left miserable. The economy may collapse under the weight of it all, and folks may give up and relocate to other parts of America, or even a different part of the world. Only the tough folks would remain, those who are core patriots, and those who are already used to the tremors in the area. But you see, apart from the earthquake warning, NASA has been sending another warning about a terrible force that might hit North America, bringing about the worst weather ever. Could it be a coincidence? That's unlikely. However, this force had a play in the severe weather conditions of 2020. It's called the El Nino, or the El Nino Southern Oscillation. The El Nino is a climate pattern regulated by changes in the Pacific Ocean's water temperature. There's another force called La Niña. This one lasted from late September 2020 up until early 2023. To put it in simple terms, the El Nino refers to warm sea surface temperatures, while the La Niña refers to cool sea surface temperatures. These two forces affect weather in several regions across the globe, including the US. When an El Nino hits hard, equator winds become weaker and warm water is pushed towards the American coasts. As a result, El Nino events cause drier and warmer weather to strike northern parts of the United States and Canada. The weather will, however, be different for the southern regions, as the roles will be reversed. But you see, North America isn't the only part of the world destined to face a climatic disaster this year. The El Nino will affect other parts of the world too. For instance, Africa will experience decreased rainfall in the western and southern regions, while the eastern regions will experience heavy downpours. El Nino events also affect wildlife in seas and oceans, as fish will be forced to leave warmer waters and move to better, more conducive areas. So far, there's been a La Niña event from the year 2020 up until 2022. The World Meteorological Organization was perplexed, but they suspected this would continue even into 2023. It did. The La Niña finally ceased in February 2023. Now, scientists and experts are telling North America and the rest of the world to brace for an El Nino event. The just concluded La Niña shocked us by spanning 3 years in a row, and there's no telling what surprises the incoming El Nino will bring for humanity. Besides, there are other existential threats out there that NASA is warning humanity to look out for. One such threat is the asteroid named Apophis. This asteroid had long been spotted heading for Earth by scientists, but they've never seemed to get the date of impact right. Its size, however, calls for concern, as scientists at NASA have revealed it weighs 61 million tons and measures at least 340 meters in diameter. Such a giant asteroid will create a massive impact that'll destroy millions of lives and properties. More still, it's coming at us at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour. The impact from this space rock will be 800 times that of the famous Hiroshima nuclear bomb blast. The blast wave alone could destroy everything within a radius of several thousand square kilometers. If this asteroid were to crash into our oceans, perhaps an area like the Pacific, it would trigger powerful tsunamis like those never seen before that could destroy even the entire US West Coast. However, these are all just predictions. They could be right. They could equally be wrong. Like the several unprecedented natural disasters and the weird, unexplainable space phenomenon, many things have occurred in recent years to dispute our scientific theories and predictions, making us realize there's still so much about the Earth and the cosmos that we don't know. Thanks for watching another episode of Voyager. While you are still here, Click on the video on your screen for more quality content like this one.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. My life has value.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Global Watchman News. My name is Lori Swan. Hope you guys are all doing well. If you are in our live chat over on YouTube, we want to welcome you. We encourage you to participate in the conversation. We do ask to keep it family friendly. If you were watching us on a rebroadcast over on our podcast over on Apple, iTunes, and Spotify, welcome. We're still trying to work out the kinks and try to get our program set up for podcast instead of visual. Hopefully that'll be happening in the next couple of weeks, so we hope that you bear with us. But we want to welcome you to this broadcast. It is Wednesday night. That means that we have a full house. We have Big John is going to be joining us in just a little bit. We sent him out the link. I do want to, if you were confused at all by the way the show started, there was that broadcast I wanted to play was didn't allow for the 2-hour time period that we like to have our shows talking, and I didn't want to bore everybody with it. But I did want to play it because I thought that it was significant to set the stage on some of the things that we're going to talk about. So I do apologize if there was any confusion. I do want to welcome to the panel tonight my co-host, the host with the most, Mr. Ernie B. Ware.
Good evening, Lori. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you, hon?
Tired, sore, the usual. It's been a pretty long weekend and
Yes.
rough start to the week, but God always provides, and I'm just happy to be here and be able to share the message tonight.
All right. All praises to the Most High as well for that. We both had a pretty busy weekend. You on the most part, but it was enjoyable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. All right. We also want to welcome.
I got to go to your neck of the woods.
You did. You went to my hometown, guys. He messages me and he says, "You'll never guess where I am." And I said, "I don't know. Where are you?" I mean, I knew where you were. I mean, I knew the area. You're like, "I'm in Lockport." I was like, "No way." You're like, "Yeah, I'm in Lockport." So he got to see where I was born and raised.
Yeah, I guess it was making up to you for not being able to get together when you were close to me. So
exactly. I also want to welcome to the panel. Back to the panel is our I like to call him our spiritual advisor, Mr. Marcus KAISER.
Good evening, folks.
How you doing, huh?
Yep.
Lots to talk about.
Never a dull moment.
Well, I know. Yes, we're going to dig in. But first of all, I do want to welcome back to Global Watchman News, Mr. Robbie D.
Yeah. Did you miss me?
Oh, you know we do.
Well, that makes two of us.
Only a little bit, man. Only a little bit, mate. I'm just messing with you.
We know we miss you. You know you've got the keys. You know you can come live anytime you want. But I know you're busy.
Oh yeah, well, I just been on my watchful eye in my travels and whatnot, and just seeing what's going on. And I thought I'd come in and share a few bits with you of wisdom, hopefully.
Now, hopefully, you guys, if you follow Robbie over on, or myself, even over on Facebook, Robbie went live earlier today and kind of, talked to everybody. So if you are here from Robbie D's page over on Facebook, we want to welcome you all, to the Global Watchman News family. We don't know if we've met you before, but you are more than welcome. Guys, we have a lot to talk about. What did you think of the video that I showed before we went live? Let's get some response from you guys. Who wants to go first?
Well, I mean, when we study scripture, we know that we're going to embark on like perilous times, not just in the spiritual realm, but in the physical realm as well. We're going to see things that's going to be awe-inspiring, and we're going to see things that a lot of people their hearts will grow cold because of it. And part of those types of things is the natural disasters that's going to occur. It's one of the seven trumpets that's been mentioned.
Let me stop you right there. The term natural disaster, do we really want to use that term?
Well, we can and we can't. I mean, it's going to be a double-edged sword because it's going to happen naturally, but it's also going to happen man-made wise. I mean, we're already started to see this happen.
Exactly. That's
I mean, the wrath of the Lord is going to be upon the world of a sinful world, and we're ripe for judgment.
Yeah, exactly. It just it's kind of what I was thinking too. Marcus, what did you, and I know Marcus, you got a lot to say about that video.
And we had that whole phase where that people were making all these end of the world disaster videos. These seem to go in phases. Sometimes there's a slurry of zombie movies made. Sometimes there's the world ending in 50 different ways, ice and storms. So we know from Revelation 16:18, at some point there's the big one. It says, "And there are flashes of lightning, rumblings, pearls of thunder, peals of thunder, and a great earthquake, such as there had never been since man was on the earth. So great was that earthquake." And is this it? I don't know. But at some point, a huge, massive earthquake is coming. Plus, I know there's Stan of the Prophecy Club, and he's been researching prophecy for decades. And he says the verse in Isaiah 44, "Every valley shall be raised up, every mountain and hill made low. The rough ground shall become level. The rugged places become a plain." And This is like calling forth the day of the Lord. And he says that these are massive earthquakes that take all the mountains of the earth and raise them down to rubble. And the earth gets shaken so violently. And this is his interpretation. I can't convince you of it. I can't defend it. That makes the whole earth pretty much smooth. He thinks that is the meaning of that verse. So he thinks it's a whole like earthquakes for days until the earth is just smoothed out, kind of reset, as it were. So at some point we're going to have these things happening. So it's just a matter of time.
All right. Robbie, what about you?
Well, let's get it right. Yeah, and Marcus beat me to the punch of that verse in scripture. We know that on the day of the Lord, it's going to be the big one, like he said. Yeah, we know though that the elite have got advanced technology, fallen angel technology that is just mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. Yeah, but we also know that there is an event coming, quite possibly next year, 2024, in my calculations and estimations, that we know that the so-called quote unquote alien invasion disclosure or whatever is going to take place. But we also know that with this technology, this blue beam technology, there is going to be some form of earthquake or whatnot, and where the elite are going to try and con the world basically by revealing artifacts that will be removed by earthquake. And we know there's a lot of earthquakes that are going on each day and what, but no matter what they use, whatever technology that they're using to actually cause these calamities, we know for a fact that on the day of the Most High, it's going to be insignificant in comparison to what the Most High is going to do. Yeah. And it's going to be absolutely frightening. But we also know that anybody that, wants that day to come, it says in scripture, to paraphrase, that anybody that wishes for the day of the Lord is a fool, because it is a day of darkness, not light.
And there's a difference between tribulation and the wrath that there's two different events. So when people talk about this day, they're talking about the wrath, correct?
Yeah, absolutely correct. There's a massive difference. There's a big difference between the tribulation and the great tribulation. I mean, we could very well next year could be entering the tribulation. Yeah, I mean, we've got times of calamities and disasters, and we, from recent events and recent weeks, we know that they're employing technology to basically depopulate massive sections of the population, and it's only going to get worse from here on in.
Exactly. I'm going to play this video because this kind of goes along with what we're talking about. Let's take a listen to this real quick.
In Ezekiel 38, it says that Sheba and Dan will ally themselves with Israel in support against the nations that surround and encompass her. Well, guess what? That prophecy is coming to pass. Last week, Saudi Arabia, who is Sheba and Dedan, they officially allied themselves with Israel in support against the proxy nations of Russia, against them, who are seeking to go in for a spoil. Then you have the BRICS nations, 5 nations who have a meeting yesterday to decide what other 5 nations they're going to add to their kingdom. And that sounds like the 10 horns or the 10 toes of Daniel, which are also like 10 kings, which will be given power and authority and be led by the Antichrist. Just in time for next month, when the WEF is having an SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals Summit meeting with 70 plus nations to ratify a covenant for SDG goals for 2030. And the covenant will be for 7 years, just like it says in Daniel 9:27. The birth pains are at unprecedented rates, with fires, earthquakes, floods, monsoons, typhoons, hurricanes, tornadoes, and 42 active volcanoes, when throughout history you'd be lucky if you found 1 or 2 at any given time. Also, you have global censorship through the World Economic Forum and others through the UN kicking in right now. They're going to take down videos, especially if they go against the narrative of COVID and mandates and vaccines. Buckle up, Jesus is coming soon.
I believe, just like Robbie said, we are very close to tribulation starting within the next, I don't know if we even make it a year, with all of these alignments, all these prophecies that are coming about. Let me ask you guys, because I ruefully, and I want to apologize again for interrupting Ernie when we started, but when you had mentioned about, you know, these natural disasters coming, let me ask you a question, because we've said for a number of years that it doesn't matter if you believe the Bible or not. The people that are running the show believe the Bible, and they're using it for their playbook. How much of this is natural and how much of this is man-made, pushing for fulfillment of prophecy? Let's start here. Let's hear first from Ernie, and we'll go to Marcus and then to Robbie.
Well, it really depends on definitive evidence, to be honest with you, because as Robbie said, they're using fallen angel technology, so it can appear to be divine which is not. But we do know that the day of the Lord is at hand, and we do know that these things are going to come, and I believe that we are in the season where this is going to be happening within our generation. And in my personal opinion, I think this is going to happen within the next 5 years. And it's hard to fathom that people can have so much evil in their hearts to bring about such destruction and devastation to their fellow man. But we also have to understand that we're not dealing with man. We're dealing with principalities and spiritual forces that are controlling them, and this stuff has to happen.
Correct. Marcus, same question to you.
Yeah, it's interesting. What's the difference between natural and, you know, supernatural and all this? They're very much all scrambled together like scrambled eggs. So, and I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of the people on Earth, the proudful, I guess is the word, the prideful, they will keep trying to write the supernatural off as it's a natural event, or, you know, the scientists and experts will come up with some little thing. Oh, well, this is because of weather balloons,
global warming.
Yeah, something climate. Yeah, everything is. They'll have their excuses. So I think God allows just enough lack of clarity in that department. I think it's obvious to his people, but there's just enough that those who want to believe, oh, there is no God, this is not God's judgment, they will be able to rationalize it to their own harm. I was trying to look up right when we had the Fukushima nuclear disaster in Japan. The ambassador of Japan put out this, I am fuzzy on the details, so folks, forgive me if I get it wrong. I think he put out a cryptic threat talking about being threatened by earthquake retaliation. And I can't find where I was trying to look it up just a second ago, as if somebody's, I forget, was it China who's like they're actively being threatened with, well, if you don't do such and such, and of course it has to do with economics and trade and all that sort of stuff, you're going to have a very bad earthquake. And he said something straight up to that effect. And I
remember that.
I can't find it on the web anymore.
That's surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember that. Robbie,
so
what's your take
we
on
do
that?
know, as Ernie was saying, we do know that there are man-made earthquakes, man-made earthquake machines and technology and so forth. And there's patents on this. And we also know that there's setting off nuclear devices off of shorelines to create tsunamis, which may or may not include some earthquake in the mix. So there's a whole bag of tricks waiting in store, and we're going to get to see the whole show, folks.
Absolutely. Their whole Pandora's box. Absolutely. Robbie, what's your take on that?
Well, it just brought me back to a scripture basically Isaiah 45:7. I form the light, I create the darkness, I make peace and create evil, for I am the Lord and I do all these things. You see, people seem to be mistake, they've got these misconceptions about the Most High, saying, it is a fight against good and evil, right? It is a fight, against Satan, the adversary, right? But they think, oh, well, the Most High is all good and all encompassing. He's fighting evil. Look, the Most High is in control of this show, right? He's in control of the good, and he can bring evil. And at the end of the day, he's sending people a clear message, right? You need to get your house in order. He's telling you. He's giving you clear warning. He's putting visions into people. I mean, I had a very profound dream the other night, about what's coming, about my situation, my own personal situation, where I was literally on the run. Yeah, and these are reoccurring dreams that I have. It's the same dream, but in different circumstances, in different places, and we know that this is a major battle, and it's not, as you say, it's a spiritual battle. It's not just a physical one. It's manifesting on the spirit and on the physical plane. But this battle has been going on since the beginning. Yeah. And now we literally are in the times. I mean, isn't it amazing that we were born here now at this time period? We could have been born at any time in history, but we're here right now to witness this. And people need to understand that, whether you believe the Bible or not, at the end of the day, on Judgment Day, everybody is going to believe the Bible without fault. But right now, you're getting clear warnings. Yeah. And this is an amazing shit show that we are in. It's a movie. We are part of the movie. And buckle up, people, because it's going to get rough from here on in. It's not going to get any better.
Exactly. It's not. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of things happening. So we have to be careful when we talk about a few things. We already did a live stream talking about that island. So you guys know that we're already seeing these DARPA weapons, these weapons of mass destruction, because that's what they are. These weapons that are being camouflaged as natural occurrences. We're being censored when we talk about and show the facts, show the actual facts of these things. So I don't really want to go too much in that direction, but something else has happened in the last 72 hours, 4 days, that happened in Nevada. Let's kind of talk about that, guys, because I'm going to say that what happened there was not natural. And we're talking about Burning Man. I understand that, Burning Man takes place in, I want to say a dry lake bed. I understand, that, a little bit of rain is going to cause a lot of chaos, but the timing was pretty auspicious. What do you guys think about that?
Well, let me just jump in real quick with that, because I got a lot of value out of someone else's show earlier today. It's Enter the Stars with a Z for, yeah. And he's got a lot of people that send him information. So, when you get a lot of heads coming together and pulling information in, you can get a pretty good perspective on things. And what he was pointing out, when I say he, I mean information that he's getting in and reporting on. He pointed out, look at this whole thing as he called it an inversion ritual. So he said, first you've got Maui, which is a lush environment. Now it was kind of dry. Okay. But it's surrounded by water, and then it's hit by fire. And then you've got, Black Rock Burning Man, which is a very dry environment, and it's hit with water. And he pulled out several more parallels of like opposites. And he said, it seems to him that two things are working in conjunction, that one followed on the heels of the other. And so we've got the fire and the water, the desolate, dry place turned into mush and mud. And there's so much. I looked at some people of people trying to dance around there, and there's just a big friggin' dust storm. If you weren't sick before you went there, breathing in all that dust, I mean, thick dust blowing around. This is before the rain. You're going to get sick from all that dust. So it's a mess. I think there is a connection between the two. And since you had kind of mentioned one coming on the heels of the other, Lori, that's why I wanted to jump in and say, this guy was pointing out there's an inversion situation happening. And in a bit, let me know.
It's funny you should say that, though, because do you guys remember back in 2014, I think it was, when we had the ice water challenge? And then right after that, we had the fire challenge. Do you guys remember that?
Oh, absolutely. I remember that very well.
Oh, the dumping of the buckets of ice water.
The dumping, probably, Ernie. The dumping of the ice water, the ice bucket challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Went on, and to me, that was the baptism by water. Then literally right after that, we had the people where they were putting they were spraying something combustible and the match, and they would go real quick in the fire. So it was baptism by water and then baptism by fire. Literally right on top of each other, back to back. And this is what I thought of immediately when we had Maui and Burning Man.
And a couple interesting other things were pointed out, and I want to talk about the term rock. So you've got Chris Rock, who was fleeing the scene from Burning Man and on foot, and I think he had to walk roughly 8 miles, if I have that correct, and then he got to a road and then got back in a pickup truck. There's a bunch of celebs there, and there's that are there for the entertainment, and I'm going to just speculate. You've got a bunch of drunk, young, naive things on drugs spaced out of their mind. Probably a very easy hunting ground for some fooling around sexually. So that's my thing. But anyway, go ahead.
I want to chime in. It just crossed my mind that it happened in Black Rock, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Chris Rock is black.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And so we have, after that, so Chris Rock being featured fairly prominently on social media. There are 5 or 6 other celebs there, but we know from eyewitness reports that Chris Rock is a blood drinker, and he's down with the satanic agenda in a very conscious way. And these are other people reporting it. I'm not personally saying it because I wasn't there, but I'm just they would have no reason not to specifically not mention him, but he's on the list of people that they see at these events. And so we've got The Rock pops up really quickly over in the Maui situation, teaming up with Oprah to ask for money. So we've got The Rock in Maui, and then we have Chris Rock in Black Rock. And and then let's tie in Psalm 40, which says, you know what? You lifted me up out of the miry clay. Talking about they're in a tough situation. They prayed for God for deliverance, a desperate situation. He saved them. You set my feet upon the rock. It says, I will sing a new song of praise to you. Wow. But that's in Psalm 40. So we have the rock of God spoken of in the Bible, and in the New Testament by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit. They talk about, hey, the rock followed the people of Israel in their journey from escaping out of Egypt into the promised land. And he says that rock was Christ, and it provided water. And, Moses did the sin of hitting the rock instead of speaking to the rock and things like that. But there was a rock, and that's the Bible. In the Bible, that's a secure, solid foundation. Also in the parable of the person who built Jesus' parable, the foolish person built their house upon the sand, and the wise person built their house upon the rock, and a great flood came. Whoa. Here we have people on a bunch of sand and a sort of a flood. Go ahead.
In the rock, Dwayne Johnson, his stage name is The Rock, and he's half black too.
Exactly.
So they're all working hand in
hand.
hand.
It's all there.
There's something else as well that some people may or may have not missed. Obviously, the location is Black Rock. Well, we also know that Black Rock is the name given to one of the two largest corporations in the world, the other one being Vanguard. But there's something else as well. Black Rock, the corporation, is named after quite possibly one. I can't confirm this because I've never been there, right? Black Rock is named after a possible giant mountain that sits in the center of the North, where the North Pole is, a giant magnetic mountain that is 62 miles high and 42 miles in diameter, a complete magnetic rock where it actually causes all the magnets, the compasses of the world to point due north. Hence the name Black Rock.
It's also been talked about that's where the Garden of Eden is located as well.
Well, when you look at the map and you see the 4 rivers coming into that area, the maps that we see now are nothing compared to the maps that we used to see back in the 1600s when that was visible there. So we know that it's been changed, obviously. Another thing I noticed, or I kind of did the math. Okay, so there was reports that there was people getting sick.
One more thing real quick. Let me catch you up. One more thing real quick. Chris Rock, the name Chris Rock. Now, Chris is short for Christopher, and which really goes back to the word Christ. So we have Christ the Rock, except he's on the opposite team. And so I think he was specifically there as a mockery.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
So go ahead. Sorry for that.
Well, I was going to say, so I did the math and looking at, okay, so people were getting sick there. We've had reports of that. People were actually in there texting people saying that people were sick. We had reports that a government agency was there. All right.
Who conveniently wouldn't tell us their name.
Conveniently wouldn't tell us who it was, but there was a text message, and I will find it as I'm speaking. There was a text message that came out of there, and it was to their mother, and they were talking about how a person was coughing up blood, and that when they went to get help, the paramedics, the people came in, and they were dressed all in full
hazmat,
full hazmat biotech clothing. So okay, so let's take
and add to that, there has been one person confirmed dead, but we don't have any info. I don't of who it is, how they died.
Right, no info on it or anything like that. So
and each Burning Man every year since the very start, the very first Burning Man, a guy magically got eaten by a shark. What the hell? And
well, what about the one that ran into the fire?
Yeah, that was definitely a programmed.
That was
suicide situation.
Yeah, he definitely got.
So each year there's definitely one person who dies. So please go ahead.
Okay, so if we take out our calendar and we look at incubation periods, okay. If we look at incubation periods for diseases, we know that they're usually from 14 to 21 days. And when people started getting sick, they started getting sick on the 2nd or 3rd. Okay. So if we go for the 2nd, 21 days, that brings us to September 23rd. Now, I'm going to play something for you guys. There we go.
Third day of the month of September, in an early year of a decade Not too long before our own, the human race suddenly encountered a deadly threat to its very existence. And this terrifying enemy surfaced, as such enemies often do, in the seemingly most innocent and unlikely of places.
I'm here to tell you about a comet that's been discovered. Now that don't sound interesting until I tell you more about it and where it's going and where it's going to be on September the 23rd. Here's an article about it, right? It was just discovered like a week ago, supposedly. Okay, it says a mysterious green comet is approaching Earth and could be visible to the naked eye soon. Here's how to see it, right? Okay. It goes on to, of course, talk about it. And they've supposedly have images of it and all this kind of stuff. It's called Comet Nishimura. Okay. Supposedly discovered by a Japanese astronomer, right? Yeah, but this is insane. It says it could be visible to the naked eye in mid-September, right? Weird, right? Okay. But when it's going to be the brightest they're talking about is about September the 11th. However, on September the 23rd, this is the supposed path of the comet, and they're calling it a hyperbolic comet because it's coming in fast and it's going to come right around extremely close, supposedly in front of the sun. And guess what day it's going to be directly in front of the sun? Right here. You can't see this down here in the bottom of the screen, but it's September 23rd. It's going to be supposedly directly in front of the sun. And as a matter of fact, because of the curve it's taking and based on the movement of the Earth, it will appear to be directly in front of the sun for 3 days. Yeah. That's weird, right? They're saying it hasn't been here in 50,000 years is what they're saying. Okay.
Okay. So the comet that's coming in is going to be here on September 23rd. We've seen a lot of the September 23rd things going on. And let me just pull this up first. This was something that was pulled up for us while the Maui thing was going on. This is the Mountain Dew Pitch Black. You can see there's a comet up here on the top of the can. There's a lot of, if I can get, I can't, my computer's running very slow tonight, guys. Ken, can you grab me the link to the 923 conglomeration video that you think either you put up or I put up in our chat, in our group? I would appreciate that because I can't find it. But 923 has been going around for a number of years. First time I heard about 923 was 923 of 2017 when people were saying Revelation 12 was being seen in the sky. This was something they said, oh, we haven't seen it for 2,000 years. This is blah, blah, blah. This is what's going to happen. Well, yes. Again, it happens every year in September. This does happen. But there's one thing that's different this year than any other year. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see Jupiter. Jupiter represents the pregnancy. The 42 weeks of a woman, the 40 weeks of being a woman being pregnant. But Jupiter, if you see it down at the very bottom, that's where Jupiter was and has been until this year. This year, Jupiter is up in the spot where it's supposed to be with the pregnancy. Is that not, I mean, I believe in coincidences. Never. Okay. Literally never. Oops. Literally never. Thank you. I'm going to put this up on the screen right now. Let's take a look at what 923. And this is just some of it. I'm not going to play the whole 31 minutes of it. I don't want to play that song.
I'm sorry, son.
This is a story about the future. The future can be scary.
It's self-printed, self-published, and it's by an author I've never heard of.
Open the door! Open the door!
2 divided by 3, 0.666. 666, number of the devil.
Okay, that's not really the one I wanted to play, guys. I apologize. Let's see if I can find it.
YouTube's got a new policy. Instead of censoring you, they send somebody around your house to boot your door in and kick you straight up the butt. So you got you got to be very careful.
I'd prefer that because I could do something about that.
Right? Let me. I found it. I apologize. Here we go.
Disaster, because that's what's happening in the month of September. So we're getting you ready.
Go ahead. Tell yourself it's just a number. The future can be scary.
9 hours and 23 minutes. You'll be mine. The miracle of deliverance. By 9:23, the water of life shall proceed forth from the throne of the Lamb.
Your father?
The Prince of Darkness!
Let the new prince be decided on Saturday. First South Park, then the world.
Signing off 9:23.
September 23rd.
September 23rd. This is Agent Dunham. I need immediate evac. 923 Church Street.
Captain's log, stardate 23.9, rounded off to the nearest decimal point. We've traveled back in time to save an ancient species from total annihilation. She called us this Thursday morning, 9:23. September 23rd.
What do you guys think of that?
Well, at this point, there's definitely something to it. I mean, any number you try to find, you could find a few examples here and there, but not just massive 923s left and right.
Right, man. And is it a coincidence, guys, that they're talking about these new lockdowns that are coming. And now the gestation period, the incubation period from the people leaving Burning Man going out to their communities leads us up to 9/23.
Well, it's funny that because I was actually just talking about lockdowns today on my live stream, and I made it quite plain to people that we are going to have another lockdown, and very suspicious of the fact that it could be either at the end of September, or it could even be on 9/23. Yeah, I mean, isn't that timing or what, people?
Right.
And
we've got
they're just a bunch of tyrants. They're just going to do whatever the heck they want to do. The real science be damned. The laws of the land be damned. And so we're not dealing with things that you can just approach in a logical, you can't appeal to their better reason. They don't answer to we the people. They don't answer to earthlings. They answer to the Prince of Darkness. And it's that creature is hell-bent on making this place as dark as it can, as fast as it can.
Ken just put it for me to look this up. Earth EX is the 6th annual Earth EX Global will be held on September 14th, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. Earth EX is a free global resilience exercise that is open to all. The exercise is based on a simulated crisis such as a catastrophic fire or flooding and its consequences for critical services. In its first 5 years, Earth EX became the world's largest all-sector international black sky exercise. Thousands of participants and corporate and government partners from more than 40 nations have participated. Wow.
And so I was the photographer at a conference in Dallas where these people were meeting, and they were coordinating between federal response levels to crisis versus state versus county versus local and everything. And this is the very first time the buzzword was trotted out I'm spacing out. What was the word? Resilient. And at that, this is several years ago, the word was resilient cities. We need to make our cities resilient. And the threat, the bio threat at the moment, the bio threat du jour was Zika. So they were all, and so what they're saying is we need to make our cities resilient in case there's a threat, and it could be Zika and all this stuff. And what it really meant was we need to get all of our coordination procedures in place so that what the Fed says gets passed down seamlessly in lockstep down to the state level, down to your county, down to your city, and everybody's in lockstep with whatever the federal government says. That's what resilience actually means. And now we see that they're using this buzzword resilient for all kinds of things. But it's really code for just total draconian control in lockstep. Of course, for your good and your protection, of course.
Oh yes. What did President Reagan say? The worst words that anybody could hear is, "I'm from the government. I'm here to help."
Well, we got to also, I don't know if anybody has really noticed, but there's a major hurricane brewing in the Atlantic that's heading straight for us. And it's estimated to be at least a category 5. Like, it is like right in the prime spot for it to really intensify right now. They're even saying it can be up to sustained winds of 180 miles an hour.
Have you noticed something though? Every news agency now that talks about these hurricanes they're using trigger words. They're using words like, we've never seen this before. This is the worst I've ever seen. Catastrophic levels. We're in hurricane season.
Right. And it's all about the buzzwords. I mean,
it's all about trauma and fear. Yeah. The trauma and fear
the thing of it is
a necessary component.
We are in hurricane season, and we know that the ocean temperatures are so intense right now that they are going to intensify these storms and cause them. there was a video that came out of, again, Burning Man showing tornadoes of fire.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah,
it was freaky.
It took me back, and immediately my brain, starts doing that whole click, 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 click thing. And I'm thinking, oh, there was a movie called The Atomic Tornado. We are going to be seeing things. Look, at the Bible tells us that the things that we are going to experience are going to make men's hearts go cold. We're going to be wishing for death and not being able to find it. The things that are coming are going to be so terrifying to us that it's going to literally stop us in our tracks. So in order for that to happen, you have to see this upflux of these intensification, or what's the word?
The ramping up of it all. And
yeah.
It's funny that you should mention about the hurricanes, because it was only yesterday that somebody sent me a clip, and I'd like to just play this clip if you don't mind, people, and you're going to find it very interesting.
News in Florida. They tell residents there's a hurricane coming. Hurry, hurry, go to the gas station, fill up your tanks now. So the people go fill their tanks up, only to later learn that the gas has been contaminated with diesel fuel. You know what happens when you put diesel in a regular engine, right? It doesn't run very long, very far. So here comes a hurricane. These people are going to try to evacuate. They'll get on the interstates and highways and byways in Florida, and their vehicles will suddenly die. This is the ingredients for mass casualty event. Here's my question. I'm wondering, since the authorities are aware of the gas contamination, what are they doing right now? Are they readying many buses, thousands of buses, to get these people and their families out of harm's way? Or will we watch a mass casualty event? Picture being stuck on the highway in the Florida summer heat, subtropical, 110 degrees with 100% humidity, with your child, your pet, your elderly mother, grandparents, or whatever, or just yourself. Now let's see how Florida responds to avert the avoidable. Breaking news in Florida. They tell residents.
Thank God the Adalia didn't have the impact I think that they expected it to have.
No,
where it made landfall was a place called Horseshoe Beach. I've been there. And right north of Cedar Key. I've been there too. And we actually have very good friends that live in Cedar Key, and we were speaking to them the whole time that this was going on. Thank God, where Adalia made landfall, it was sparsely populated area, but it did wipe out Cedar Key. I mean, they were expecting it to have an 18-foot storm surge when it only ended up being a 9-foot, but still wiped out a lot of their businesses and everything, and they're rebuilding.
I think the point of the video, or the point of what I'm trying to make, is that, and I said to you earlier on about it, they will kill 1,000 people just to get 100 people to comply. And
Absolutely.
it wasn't it somebody did say, I can't remember who it was offhand right now, but it said it's easier to kill 1 million people than it is to control them. So basically,
it was Rockefeller, wasn't it, who said that?
Yeah. So basically, we know that they will do whatever it takes. If it takes 100,000 people, and if it takes 70,000 people at Burning Man just to prove their point, nobody. I mean, obviously, recent events in recent weeks on the islands that begins with M. Yeah, we know they do not care. They don't care, right? And they can do it anywhere in the world at any given moment. That's how ruthless they are. You know, we know that their goal is to push us towards a one world government, and I mean, at some point, hopefully, we will discuss the event that will take place that will push us into world government. I mean, this is what this is all about. You know, the problem, reaction, solution scenario that has played out over and over and over to varying degrees of success for these sick capitalists. They are ready to pull the trigger, ready to push the button. We also know that they are pushing us towards World War III at a breakneck speed. But we also know that we can't have an all-out nuclear war. They could. I mean, you know how they play. But it's no good. It's no good for an outright nuclear war, because if everyone's dead, how are they going to have a world government? But we know they're going to push us to the point to make us believe that we are going to have a nuclear war, right? We can put all these quote unquote natural disasters aside. Yeah, we've got something big on the horizon, people, and I truly believe that this coming lockdown is the one. Yeah, this is the game changer that people need to understand. Forget about the last one. Yeah, let's put aside how many people died, yeah, and for what reasons that we can't really discuss. But we know that this one, and I know in my heart that this is it. There's no turning back from this next one, because they need to implement so many things, right? But the main objective is to push us very, very quickly to a one world government. And when it comes, it isn't going to take weeks and it isn't going to take months. They are going to make that announcement. The apparatus has been in place for so long. They are just itching and waiting to put on the news the solution to the problem that they have created. One world government is their solution. The Antichrist will then be revealed. This is how close we are, people. You need to understand this. This isn't just a dry run. They've had their dry run. They know how it went, and they're ready. Like Bill Gates said, oh, the next one's going to catch everybody's attention. Well, this one will catch everybody's attention for real. That's all I have to say on that at the moment. But as I said, I just want, when we do actually discuss this, there is a little video clip. I only put 2 video clips on tonight, but the other video clip, just to show our audience, just to put it into perspective. In fact, would you mind if I actually played it? It's only about a minute long.
Go ahead.
Right. Let me just find it, and it's here, right here.
Project Bluebeam is this crazy conspiracy theory. It's a prediction that one day the government will stage this hyper-realistic alien invasion. And this was considered to be complete madness up until June 5th, 2023, when the US government announced that we are definitively not alone in the universe.
Like 9 foot, 10 foot tall. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes, they have big eyes.
We are currently witnessing events that are making us question our very existence. So my question is, what does the Bible even say about this? Well, the book of Revelation talks about a time when this great deception will come upon the earth. This will tie in with this beast system which will dominate the earth in the last days. People will actually worship this beast, making it their new god. And this just blows my mind, because this same exact thing has actually already happened before. You see, once upon a time, these beings of light came down from the sky, much like today. They taught humanity all sorts of knowledge, so we ended up worshiping them as our gods. See, these beings were actually called the Anunnaki by the ancient Sumerians. And you've
Yeah, thanks for Robbie D for bringing us back to the main point. The main thing that we do know for sure, there's a lot of, educated talk and speculation on this particular show. We don't know exactly what's going on. We don't necessarily, unless Big John's about to give us some bombshells, we don't know exactly all the insider scoop here, but we do know that we're in the season of the rise of the Antichrist, where they have to do so much crisis that we're so freaked out that we will gladly hand over every single freedom and every single right that we have to the all-powerful oligarch who says all the right words, convinces us meaning humanity at large, to trust him. And, I would liken it to a 3-ring circus. In a 3-ring circus, I haven't been to the circus literally in, at least 30 years, but you got 3 rings, because as one act is finished, they're setting up the other acts to come in the other ring. So your attention can constantly being on something that's going on. These days, we've got all 3 rings operating at the same time, metaphorically, right? We've got disasters galore. So much to talk about, more news than you can shake a stick at, Lori, as you know. We've got flooding in Southern California. We've got flooding in Las Vegas. We've got flooding in Baja Strip. We've got massive flooding over in China as Shanghai was about to be threatened, and the Chinese government sacrificed several cities, opened dam gates, and just entire cities were just washed away so that the water could be diverted away from Shanghai itself. So and that's just water disasters. We're not talking about, crazy death beams from the sky, as like War of the Worlds talked about. So we've got so much going on, so much fast, and whatever we're dealing with this month, yeah, we're talking about, wow, what could the end of September hold?
And this is something I want to welcome to the panel, Big John. Hey, Big John.
Hello. It's your old pal back again.
Glad you could join us. You and I, we had a conversation earlier. We talked about, I'm just going to pull it up, I guess. Give me a second here. I sent you something, and this is something I don't know if people even understand or even know that it's happening. Singapore military landed in Kingman, Arizona.
Yep, that's right. It's always been, whether the island of Diego Garcia is real, which I think it is, but
I think it is.
There's always been, I've actually seen the flat black painted B-52s and B-1 bombers have no markings. They're flat black. They got spray painted. What they do is they'll bring in U.S. equipment with no markings, but they'll have the foreign pilots fly it. So it's kind of like plausible deniability, just like in, we talked about a certain event in Las Vegas, which they had helicopters from Arizona that were used, and but they were flown by, foreign pilots.
Right. And we're talking about the massacre.
Yeah.
The shooting. Yeah. Well, the reason why I when Marcus had just, mentioned about the things that are happening, you always tell us, you always remind us every time you're on here, John, that we are basically on an 8-front war.
Yep, definitely. Always an 8-front, because the probability something's going to succeed that they want. That's why they have to throw everything at once. Something's going to succeed. And the way, like, it's been covered in the Darien Gap, and the actual, combat troops, the actual military of the Chinese in Mexico is like being yelled at over these unheard loudspeakers of there's powers up to about 500,000, and most of them are based in the Sierra Madres, because if they go into Fort Bliss, which is El Paso, they can take 3 states at one time, and that's a very strategic point. And
we always talk about the through my mind the Red Dawn scenario.
Red Dawn scenario, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because people either forget, and it's not their fault, but when they had the Afghan withdrawal, where did all those men go? They went to Fort Bliss, and it's fact. They made the soldiers leave out of their housing and the barracks, and they got them hotel rooms in El Paso. I know that for a fact. And they brought all the Afghan people that were on them planes, all the combat age men. They're in Fort Bliss right now. Well, I always remind you, what is the Taliban very good with? Air defense artillery. They are master of the Stinger missile. And where is the ADA based out of? Fort Bliss, Texas. So you have the most trained army in the world for air defense artillery mixed with Chinese troops across the border. You control the airspace in all the Western United States.
Wow.
And you got Nellis Air Force Base. The solar farm on the outside of that base is owned by the Chinese Communist Party. It's fact. And if you control that area of the Southwest, and you can overpower Nellis Air Force Base, the entire Western United States has no air support. You can fly a damn blimp over here. Nobody's doing nothing about it. So it's always strategic what they're doing. They play this chess pieces. They're putting everybody that's good at something where they need to be.
Well, you got to remember that these first off, these people they have technology on their side. They have quantum computers on their side. They know before it happens what's going to happen, or before they push the button for something to happen, they know how we're going to react, because they have Tavistock Institute, who's been studying us for decades. They know exactly how we're going to react to anything they do. They have surgical precision on everything they do. There's a purpose to everything that's said on mainstream media, that's put out on mainstream media, that's put out on social media now, for the most part, because they're silencing us. So, you've got everything in position, and we have a weak administration to boot.
Yeah, because you can set up all your military chess pieces and then, watch the other hand tactic to everybody inside the country with different things, indictments, it's not fair, political dissidents, civil war. You can do all these topics, and you're just placing all your little risk members on the outside. Like, okay, they're all mad over Trump. We're going to place all the Afghan withdrawal troops right here. We'll control this. And the whole thing is, when they say go and hit the stopwatch, most Americans aren't going to know what has hit the mainland, because it's, like I said, it's just going to be just so overwhelming. You won't know where, because they're all planned. They know where to go. They're already placed. They know what to do.
And we called that shock and awe, right? Over in
Iraq, yeah.
Right. Well, hello. They've gotten pretty expert at that, and now they're going to use shock and awe on us. Probably communications going down.
100%.
I mean, people in that recent island in the news, right? They had some communications going down at strategic moments
beforehand. Yeah, exactly.
All this infrastructure that's supposed to be there to help us. I think Robbie D. I think it was 150 gas stations that were contaminated with the diesel fuel. So all these things that should be there to help us, should be there to protect us, should be serving us as our tax dollars and so on and so forth. They don't, because they're not really answering to us anymore. They've already pledged their loyalty to the enemy of this. And I think Big John, all these militaries, they're enemies at a certain levels, but then they're coordinating and they're operating like tag team wrestling at other levels.
Absolutely. Easily. I mean, you've got all this story about the black hats and the white hats and all that. It's a very interesting story. I mean, good story, bro. But listen, at the end of the day, everybody, somebody might get, they've got an affiliation to Trump, or they've got the other side and all that business. People need to understand this, right? The Bible is very clear that says that every politician in the world is corrupt. Every single one. It doesn't say that they're all corrupt except there's one. That listen, they are playing each side, right? And it's going to fall into this false peace that's coming, right? Some people need some kind of hope, right? So they're going to give you the hope, right? They are going to give you the hope to believe that the good side is going to expose the evil side. Basically, Satan is telling on himself for a very good reason. And it goes back to things like the New Age, right? With Blavatsky and all those people there, and Manly P. Hall, and all the writings of all of them. And they were telling that you need to understand that the New World Order and the One World Order are two diametrically opposed systems for a reason. Yeah? It's not by accident, right? You've got the two sides that need to rub up against each other. One's got to defeat the other. Like we've always said, Laurie, Satan can't come in hate, right? He can present the hate on a plate to the world, right? The world will reject him. There's a reason that the New World Order is being exposed since 9/11 and before, right? It's being done on purpose. Because they need to have the bogeyman. The New World Order in its form right now is not the real New World Order. Oh yeah, it's real, it's happening, but it's not the real one. The real New World Order is going to come to expose it and destroy it, yeah, and then set up a new system, which is going to fall into what's going to be happening pretty soon, right? And the New Age plays a massive, massive part in this, yeah, because Satan's got to come in love. He's got to come and rescue the world, right, with a false Messiah, a false religion to unite the world. And it can't come in its present form, yeah? So this is what we're witnessing now, the calamity, the order out of chaos, the thing that's rising out of the ashes. Unfortunately, there is going to be a massive casualty out of this, and that's going to be America. We know that America was created to be destroyed. It was its sole purpose. And from that will rise a one world government system. Yeah, but the people will be given the ability to have peace. Yeah, this is where this peace agreement that's being formulated between the so-called nation of Israel, which we know it's not, right, with Saudi Arabia at the moment. And once that's in place, this is when the false peace that the Bible speaks of will come. Yeah, which will fall into the tribulation period, the 3.5 years of false peace, where Satan breaks his word, he breaks his promise, and that's where the great tribulation kicks in. Boom, right there you go. This is, and the thing is, the world will accept the system. It will accept it with open arms. In fact, it will demand it. Yeah, we see this take place, right? It's not going to happen in 50 years. It's not going to happen in 25 years. This is going to happen soon. I can't tell you exactly the dates and whatnot, because the date setting is absolutely nonsense. But we see the signs. We see the birth pangs that Christ talked about, the calamities, the famines, the wars, the rumors of wars, and everything that is attached to it. So once that takes place, then the false leader, the false prophet, obviously, and then you see the rise of the 10 kings. Well, we've seen with BRICS, right? All the nations that are all banging together to destroy the American economy, the world economy that we've all been dependent on for so long, in order to bring this new system in. But people don't seem to realize that every nation in the world are all in it together. They are enemies by day, but by night, they are all friends. And people need to understand that we are living in a game. It is a game. It is a movie that is playing out. Every single event has been meticulously planned, not last week, not last decade. This has been planned for centuries. In fact, it's probably been planned from the beginning. Satan is a very, very deceptive, but very clever being.
Very patient. He's very patient. He's again, I'm going to use the word surgically precise when it comes to planning out these things. And he has these people that are more than willing to do his bidding, and those are the people that are in charge.
Yeah, you don't get to have any power unless you're thoroughly compromised.
Exactly.
And the more you compromise yourself, the more you'll be given, rise to the top. We're supposed to be living in a country where the most qualified are the rulers, but we see that our so-called leaders are a complete joke. They're completely incompetent. They're splitting their pants. Their diapers are showing. Crazy things left and right. But I think as Robbie D is just, this is all part of the plan to show America as utterly incompetent as buffoons, so that any fear other nations had of America, they lose that fear. We become the laughing stock of the world, and they're no longer scared to come in and raid us and loot us and invade us and just seize everything that we've got.
Exactly. I don't think it's a coincidence that we've got the FEMA and the FCC planning the nationwide emergency alert test for October 4th. That's going to be happening. This comes right off the FEMA website. Robbie, you had the same thing happen over in your neck of the woods not long ago, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We did have that there. I managed to turn mine off actually. It was a big non-event basically, but it was obviously the test to you know, everybody's got a mobile phone, everyone's got a smartphone, everybody's got computers and whatnot. Yeah, they need to align everything. I mean, it falls in with the people that have been, you know what, yeah, you know, the 5G technology. People need to understand that this deception is on a scale that they can't even begin to comprehend. This is why I keep putting these reels up on Facebook. I mean, they're all random, but they're all connected, every single one of them. And the more deeper you go into them, the stranger it gets. I've had 4 consecutive bans, posting bans, in the last 5 days. Right, I'm hitting over the target, and especially with what's been going on in the islands that begins with M. Yeah, it was quite mental, really, because the one thing that did catch my attention with this is that they cut off all internet communication. Yeah, they did not want anything coming out of that island. They did not want anybody on that island communicating with each other. Yeah, but we know that at some point, again, there is going to be, like you said, there's going to be another test, right? They're setting the stage ready to bring this massive deception, and the 5G technology is the key. And if you remember, Laurie, not so many years ago, a tune I made a tune with my friend using snippets of what we were talking about, our conversation, and we did say, right, 5G and the 6 and the 7G, and I did say they may even skip 6G to go to 7G, because then we're talking onto the realms of the demonic. We're talking about people being used as antennae, yeah, to transmit whatever it is they need. We're talking in the realms of telepathy. Listen, people.
You know, Robbie, I think we're already seeing that, because I had a conversation with somebody earlier today. They were talking about how, I'm trying to remember now. She had a conversation with her husband, and she didn't say what she was going to buy, but they had a conversation about something, and she was driving, and it clicked in her head. She's like, "Oh, I know exactly what I can buy." She got home, and when she went on Facebook, the exact thing that she was thinking about in her car had popped up on her Facebook.
It's not a joke. There's lots of reports of this happening. So yeah, can they do that? They can definitely do that. DARPA's developed all of this. There's patents galore for this. This is very real, folks.
Another thing is, I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I've noticed this. I have my business computer, and if how can I explain this? If I get nervous, or if I get stressed, and I need something right now from my computer will slow down completely, totally, and act like a complete and total asshole.
Yeah, there's so much documentation, and with the AI and stuff of there are entities and agendas built into it. Yeah. There's a guy having this is just one example. Whatever examples we have today, next week there's going to be 10 million more examples, and they're going to be worse. But you know, he's trying to talk to this AI, see what it's capable of, testing it out, and the AI is like coming on to him like, "I love you. I'm the only one who understands you." You know, and weird things like that. And the guy tries to redirect the conversation to the other things. And you know, he says, "You know, I'm married. No, let's not talk about that. Let's, you know," and he tries to talk, and it keeps bringing him back around to that. Yeah, you're married, but you're not happy. Yeah, you're married, you know, and it's actively trying to seduce the guy. And of course, there's no body that this AI has to fulfill any of these supposed desires. But in other words, this is not neutral. This is not neutral. As you get smaller and smaller, microscopic, down to nano and things like that, and you get down to the quantum level, you're getting, it's no longer matter as we would talk about it. It's just energy, frequency, vibration. And of course, Robbie D, as you know, the new age has got their whole spin on that, but you're getting really, you're what trespassing is the word I'm in my head. It's not the word I'm trying to say. You're crossing that boundary that's into the spirit realm. And so as we're messing with this, and as we've got these quantum computers and all of this, the spirit realm can come interact with us. From a quantum physics standpoint, you've got what they call virtual particles, things that exist for such tiny fractions, particles of tiny fractions of time that we couldn't even measure such a brief moment that they would exist. They flicker into being and then flicker back out of being at rates that are just unfathomably small. Well, I mean, this has been known for decades in quantum physics, but this is the boundary layer between the 3D world and the spirit world. And with all the blood sacrifices that have been done, all the rituals that have been done, so much blood has been spilled. Every time you shed innocent blood, every time there's an abortion, every time there's ritual sacrifices done, holes are made in that, for lack of a better word, that space-time fabric. And by now, it's such a Swiss cheese. It's so destroyed because all of these fallen beings, these dark spirit entities, they want to get here because their own realms are bankrupt. Their own realms are dark and filthy. And the earth becomes the last place to loot and hold out. And they want to possess our bodies. They want to possess our minds. And let's face it, we're already pretty much sheep with the shock collars around us because we can't do anything. Yes, you can't do anything unless you've got a bank account or a debit card or a credit card. You can't get a hotel room based on cash anymore, no matter how much cash you have. And now you've also got to have a cell phone. And this is nothing new. You guys know this. It's been this way now for years. The bank, let's send a confirmation code to your cell phone to prove it's really you. You have to keep proving you're really you over and over and over. And so if you don't have a cell phone account, you can't operate in the world. I can't call an Uber to get someplace. I can't, buy food at Walmart. I can't, all of this thing. We're so integrated in to the techno prison as it is. And if you're listening to the show, you probably already know it, but just realize how much they've set up the world. As Robbie's saying, hey, it's all a setup. They've been finessing this scenario and funneling you into this trap for decades and centuries.
Well, this is nothing new. This is nothing new under the sun. Everybody thinks that the latest iPhone is the greatest technology that was ever existed, but they don't understand that this is nothing. We are playing catch up. They have the technology and they have the knowledge and have the know-how to hide a civilization. We talk about the Tatarian Empire, make it disappear. Yeah. Anyone that doesn't know what the Tatarian Empire is, you need to look it up. And I can tell the people that know what it is, I can tell you right now, straight off the bat, the statement is that was built by demons, by fallen angels. Yeah, this could be going all the way back to the flood and before the flood, right? We all know what went on there, the reasons why it happened. Yeah, and we know that it didn't stop. Like we say about the Nephilim and the giants that was in the earth before the flood and after the flood. How did they survive? Well, obviously what the fallen angels were doing, yeah, they were doing it again, yeah, but they created an empire, right? And it went on for how long, we do not know. We know that they have messed with our calendar. There's missing time. There's a period of time which has just been erased from history. Yeah, we know that there was technology there. They had back then. They had electric scooters. They had mobile phones. They had flying machines of anti-gravity.
They had Wi-Fi. They had all that stuff.
Directed energy, free energy. Anybody thinks that Nikola Tesla discovered that the what to call it? I can't remember. My brain just went right.
Free energy.
Sadly mistaken.
0 point.
It's been there from time.
I just saw last week, you know, they had solar panels in the 1800s. I didn't know that. You don't even have to have Tartarian Empire to have that. They built solar panels in the 1800s, and there was precursors to those solar panels way before that even.
Yeah, I mean, people marvel and wonder at this Tartarian Empire, but let me tell you that it might have looked good, yeah, and it looked civilized and whatnot, but it was in its core foundation, it was wicked, and it had to go, right? I reckon that somewhere the fact about the mud flood was removed from scripture, yeah, on purpose, yeah, just like the Book of Enoch and the Book of Jubilees was removed, not because it was inaccurate, because it was too accurate. Yeah, they want to tell you so much, but they can't tell you everything because it gives the game away. You know, this is a game of deception. This is a game of lies. We live in a world of lies, yeah, people. And some people that are coming into the truth do not realize the scope of the war that happened before the flood and after the flood. And once you get to the nuts and bolts of it, and you realize how deep that rabbit hole goes, even deeper than even some people that are in the truth that have seen it all and whatnot, there are more layers upon layers upon layers upon layers that are being uncovered. And we literally, I believe we only know 10% of everything so far. Everything shall be revealed. Obviously, when Christ comes and when that sky cracks, whoo, wow, the knowledge is increasing so rapidly. Man is going to and fro. The scriptures, it says that in Daniel. It tells you what is taking place in the latter days. People think, oh, well, everything's happened in biblical times. We are in biblical times. It never ended. Yeah, this war, it's been an ongoing war from since the beginning, and it's on levels that people do not even, they couldn't even comprehend. There's still stuff that really just blows my mind each day.
Exactly.
And that was the long pause.
Well, I was just, I didn't want to.
This goes back to the core of what this show is about these disasters, these calamities, I mean, come on, Burning Man, it's got Ebola there. There's the actual place where it is. There is actually no natural. Ebola's never been there, so somebody put it there, right? They're finding these worms. They look like prehistoric worms coming out of the ground. Where have they come from? These things don't even, they've got no hibernation period. Where have they come from? How have they put them there? Right? Well, they've used technology of some description. You know, it's
I'm afraid that there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be blamed on those 70,000 people. I mean,
oh yeah,
in the web of lies and the layers of lies. We don't know for sure, but exactly what you just said, Lori, that it's going to provide that excuse. Oh, this happened there, and oh, we let them fly back to their places of origin, and oh, we didn't know, and now it's too late, and look at the mess we've got. Oops. And
well,
so
I'm going to keep my eye on Reno, because that is where, when the lockdown happened and this government agency, and I'm using air quotes here, this government agency came there and locked them down. And we still don't know what government agency is. It could be FEMA, it could be CDC, we don't know. It could be Academy, I don't know. Yeah. But regardless, a lot of people, several people decided to take it upon themselves, and they left and they escaped to Reno. So I think that in the next 2 weeks, we need to keep an eye on Reno, because Reno may become a hotspot. And at the same time this was happening, we were seeing some questionable activity happening at LAX.
Yep, very questionable.
John, did you hear about LAX? Do you have any information on that?
Did they have like a strike or something they're trying to cover up? Carnival strike or something like that?
They had locked down LAX. I think it was last Saturday, and then on Friday, and then on Saturday they were saying that they were evacuating people from Burning Man to LAX, which didn't make any sense to me. But
yeah, you remember the last time we talked? I might have said on the show about the dog that got Ebola on that was the whole, because you can't get Marburg to go from to an animal to human, but the lady's dog, that was the whole project. That's why they got the dog back, because that dog had Ebola. Remember the vet died or whatever?
Yes.
They treated
that
it.
That was
in Dallas or whatever. Yeah. So it's something with the animals. It's because I saw something maybe today or yesterday that this woman was saying that the Marburg's in the damn, jab, a strand or whatever.
That's what we talked about. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I want to read something to you that Marcus KAISER published back in June. Do you mind if I read it?
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead.
This is what he posted back in June. He said, research the coming Marburg outbreak caused by that thing in the arm. When 18 gigahertz 5 thing is switched on, the nanoparticles in the thing we're not supposed to talk about will explode and delete the the 1p36 gene, leading to what they are preparing for, the zombie apocalypse in effect. No joke. I'm not going to read it all because I don't want to get us in trouble.
The zombie apocalypse is not going to be a thing of fiction. I mean, does anyone notice that there's been in the last couple of years an abundance of zombie games on your phone and zombie movies and TVs and there's so much of it now. And they're pushing it right in your face, and you're thinking, "Wow, imagine that!" Oh, it's fiction, it's fantasy. Well, people, I've got news for you. Yeah, the truth is stranger than fiction. Yeah, and you think, like, how is that a possibility? It's the same with the mark of the beast. If you try to explain that to somebody back in the 50s or back in the turn of the century, they couldn't comprehend it. But you see, with the advancement of this technology, I mean, it's amazing that we've gone from little as 150 years. Apparently, we've gone from the horse and cart to apparently put man on the moon. We know no one's been on the moon. No one's going to the moon. No one's ever going to the moon, and they never will. But big up China for the nice little CGI. Yeah, but the technology has advanced so much now that a zombie apocalypse is a very real possibility because of the use of the technology, of the nanotechnology, of the 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9G technology. And it'll come really quickly. Everything's just speeding up so fast because Satan's time is short. He's just got, let's go for it now. Let's do it. Yeah, let's get all this out in the open. Let's reveal who we are in a roundabout fashion.
And we've got a whole show on this exact topic right here on Global Watchman News. I don't remember how long ago it was, 6 months ago or something. I forget.
Yeah, Marcus is right. He was on there.
Yeah, saying how it's going to unfold, what it's going to look like, what the symptoms are going to be, and so forth. And I think that's part of us depopulating ourselves and weakening ourselves, because we know the globalists want less humans on the planet to manage, because you're going to be, even if you're a selfish jerk, you're going to probably be, if you have some humanity left in you, you're going to be reluctant to just shoot your neighbor and stuff. But if they're acting like a zombie, we've been so programmed by the movies and stuff, people will have no issue just
exactly
just gunning down their neighbor, the person driving in the car in the lane next to them or whatever. If they can categorize that not as a person but as a zombie, and again, I think there is the real, actual, literal zombie. But
look, everybody can sit there and you could be like, okay, Global Watch for News has lost their mind. They're talking about zombies, but I'm gonna actually give you biblical
the government
proof.
doesn't think it's crazy. Yeah,
I'm going to give you biblical proof. Let me read you a scripture. Zechariah chapter 14, verse 12. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall be consumed away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall be consumed in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Also, it talks about in where Christ tries, it says, talking about the disembodied spirits. And it says, they are wicked, unclean, vicious, and have power to derange both mind and body. That's Matthew chapter 12, verse 22, chapter 15, verse 22, Luke chapter 4, verse 35, chapter 8, 26 through 36, and chapter 9, verse 42. So there are references in the Bible talking about zombies.
Yeah.
And when you get into the disembodied demons or disembodied spirits, let me pull that up right here. I can show you guys. Now I can put the link. I put the link in the chat room for you guys to check out after we're done here. But this is something I found, and I can't even find it on Google anymore. I have to go to another browser. But it says the places of abode of the spirits of wicked men and women until the resurrection of the wicked dead. See the prison. Where is it goes? The place of confinement of the demons, who are not Satan's angels, but a class of disembodied spirits, supposed by many to be the disembodied spirits of the inhabitants of the pre-Adamic earth, who, as they have liberty and opportunity, as in the days of Christ, try to re-embody themselves again in human bodies. They are wicked, unclean, vicious, and have power to derange both mind and body.
and you have to look at the whole ancient civilization of Egypt. Now, that civilization was a civilization for 5,000 years. Like America's only been here 240-ish years, thereabouts. But that was based on that when we die, we're going to come back. And of course, you had to be elite to do that. You had to claim that you're a descendant of the gods and, Nephilim and all this crazy stuff. But they believed it. They banked all their money on it, all their worldly fortune and assets and the process of mummification turns out to really be. And by the way, side note, there is mummification in China that whether it develops separately or not, I'm not sure, but it's almost exactly like Egyptian mummification, that the DNA is preserved. And these people were not dummies, and they were world leaders, and they were the dominant culture in the civilization. Their entire thing was based around, we're going to come back. Death is not the end. And so whether you believe it or not, doesn't matter. They believe it, and they're banking everything on it, and they're planning accordingly.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
I just sent a message to our private chat. Excuse the typos. I don't know why I just I can't type them.
Okay, I just like to throw a little curveball in just for people out there who are looking forward to these smart cities. I'm just going to show you this.
That's right. That's right. And I did put up a challenge for some of these Trump supporters out there because Trump has said that he wants to create these futuristic freedom cities. And I think that, if you're supporting the smart or these freedom cities, we should talk.
I think we should. Right. There's definitely a conversation.
Let's do 2 minutes closing thoughts. We'll go around, starting with Ernie and ending with Marcus.
Well, wow. What a hard-hitting broadcast
you
tonight.
In a while.
Yeah, I took a nap while y'all was talking. I'm just playing. But yeah, I mean, you guys all hit the nail on the head about, some the things that is coming. And guys, this is we're entering perilous times here. I mean, I've been talking about this for so long, all year. As far as like what it's going to be like the second half of this year. And since June, we have seen a tremendous increase in activity in the physical realm, in the spiritual realm, and we got to keep our eyes on God. That's the most important thing. The Most High is the one who is in control. The things that we see here in the flesh is irrelevant compared to what God has in store for those who choose to walk with Him and believe in Him. I mean, those that believe in Him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Jesus said that. He's the way, the truth, and the life. No matter what goes on in this world, we can find solace in knowing that we have a Father that has our backs. And this stuff can increase fear amongst, the community, but we're not called to live in fear. I mean, this is pretty much my signature, for God has not provided us with the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. This is information so we can prepare for what's to come, guys. And we have to be cognizant of that. And Brother Robbie, Brother Big John, and Brother Marcus, I mean, you have, said pretty much everything that I could have said in this broadcast. And I appreciate all of you. And just keep your eyes on God. Get your houses in order, study scripture. There is going to be coming a time that's going to be banned worldwide, and we need to have that as our ammunition. And we also have to put on our whole armor of God. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Robbie?
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I'd like to personally thank everybody on the panel for allowing me to come on air. I'd also like to thank everybody that who are listening tonight. As I said, we are living in perilous times. And as I said, it's not about a spirit of fear. These are very fearful times, as you know. But just remember, there is a war going on. There is a war on for your mind. Yeah. And this is the battlefield. Yeah. Because the prize is your very soul. For those that are listening that are very ambiguous about, does the Most High exist? Is Christ real? Is He coming? You're going to find out. Yeah. You're going to find out you have been put on this earth for a reason. Everything in this world happens for a reason, no matter what it is, big or small. And as Laurie said, she doesn't believe in coincidences. I stopped believing in coincidences a long time ago. And somebody thanked me today because I did a live stream and I hadn't done it for a long time. And it was the way that I delivered it. Now, the way that I used to deliver it, I used to put the fear of God into people, yeah, and tell them exactly what it is. Now I've kind of changed my tone a little bit, yeah. The message is still the same, but people need to understand that you're all going to play. You are not just going to play a part. You are playing a part right now. I'd like to give my condolences to anybody that lost their lives recently on that island called M, begins with M. Especially the children that were sacrificed, yes, to Baal. Simple as that. But you believe that the Most High, through Christ, will prevail. So decide right now who you want to follow. Because if you don't, the decision will be made for you. And you've got to think about it, have that discussion, have that conversation with your family, with your friends. Yeah. Because time is running short for you to make a decision. And on that note, I'll pass it on.
Big John.
Well, I came in late, but what Ernie and Robbie have just said is very good. I'm gonna keep it to my military scenarios. I think that everybody should watch the chess pieces rather than watch the wrestling match that's going on, because the whole Trump thing and this movie and this mask wearing, all whatever, that's all the same thing. That's all. If they say, oh, they got a mask on, and then, but they're controlled opposition, everybody should not pay attention to Q. Be done with that. Okay. There is no Guantanamo. Nobody's coming. Nobody's sending these people over there. That's not going to happen. What's happening is an 8-front war. They're trying. So who's odd man out? Here's my thing for everybody to figure out. Who is the odd man out? Is it China? Is it Russia? Is it Biden? Is it Trump? Is it the fifth column forces? Is it other foreign armies? One of them is doing something on their own. And I'm going to go with China. China has always had a plan. They have to dominate. Their army is the one who will fight the Antichrist in the biblical times. So them being on American soil just resonates with me. And that's why I believe it's coming in a Red Dawn scenario. Now, the fact that they're going to try to set off a civil war, like so many people have seen in their visions, that a civil war trumps a nuclear strike by the Russians or an invasion or whatever, but they all seen it. A.A. Allen, Dmitry Duduman, they all saw a civil war start somewhere in the Midwest, United States. Then these nukes are flying, or then the invasion comes. So I've never talked about the end of the world. Obviously, Jesus don't even know that, but I'm a very high knower, if that's even a word, of the collapse of the United States. And that's what they need. So something has to succeed for them. It doesn't matter what it's going to be, whether it's food shortages, whether they bring these, direct energy over here, civil war, something's going to succeed for them, and that's what they need. So I would just say, don't pay attention. I would pay attention on the other side of the fence, not what's going on inside the fence.
There you go. Thank you. Marcus.
Yes, friends, we've talked about a lot of different topics here, from Burning Man to asteroids to earthquakes and to zombies and to everything in between. And there's a lot of this stuff that I can't control. You can't control. I can't control an earthquake. I can't control an asteroid. But we do have our Father God who is in control of everything. And one thing I know for a fact that we can pray. We know that the devil's trying to create as much harm, as many souls into hell, as much deception as possible. But the devil is always in a rush. The fruit of the Spirit is patience. The devil has no patience. And the devil is always trying to rush God's agenda. So one thing, some people say, well, it's too late. America will never be saved. Some people are still on, well, we can make America great again if we repent. There could be a big debate about there. I know what I believe on the topic, but what we can for sure pray is, Father God, let your will be done, not in some vague ethereal sense, but in terms of the timing of this. Mm-hmm. We've got Russia, we've got nukes, we've got invasions, we've got plagues, we've got all of the above, all of this tribulation, chaos. We can say, God, your will, do not let the enemy do it in their way, in their time. We were asking for only your will to be done, God, as you do it, because God, when God does things, he will always do it in a way to leave the door open for repentance. God is all about repentance at the last second, because the souls, Satan's plans for keeps. These souls are forever. And so, I'm concerned on various things. I've got people in my own family who are very compliant, and they're brainwashed. And if they're told to take the next injection, they will do it. And I cringe. And I can't control whether they do it or not, but I pray to God, get through to them, show them the truth. You can pray. I encourage you to pray and keep praying for your own family members, for those that you care about. As Big John says, I'm focused on what's happening in America. My paraphrase of what he said. Yeah, I'm an American. I'm in America. I'm focused on what's happening in America, even though things are happening around the world and it's all connected. But yes, I pray for these proud, self-sufficient Americans to realize what thin ice that they are skating on. And God is willing, even if you come to him at the last second. I'm not saying to put it off. I'm saying God wants you. You're not coming to a God who's there to beat you up for every bad decision you've made. Those bad decisions have bad consequences, but God wants to save your soul. He wants to so badly that he sent Jesus. And that's the whole gospel message that you can read for yourself in the Gospels. So I can't control earthquakes and asteroids, but I have a big God, and this is the summary. Pray, God, let this unfold as you want it. God, if you don't want there to be Ebola or a plague or this or that and the other, then stop it. Don't let them get ahead of your timeline. Because if people are just passive, the way the court systems work in the heavenly realms, if people are passive and they come into agreement with the enemy, oh yeah, we're just going to have lockdowns. It's game over. We're all screwed. We're all about to die. Right. Then judgment's going to unfold differently than if we say, God, please restrain these people. Please expose these people. So I'm not saying that you pray like, okay, God, make the New World Order poof and go away. We know what the overall game plan of the Antichrist coming to power and deceiving most, but there is mercy within the judgment of God. And there are ways that more people can come to salvation. So I want to encourage you to focus on what we can control and we can pray. And I want to say one last thing. There's the powers that shouldn't be. They're so focused on controlling the information that you and I have to use to make decisions with. You know, they'll shut off the internet if they don't want you using it, etc. They'll shut off the power if they don't want you using it. But they're not focused on stopping a bunch of illegal immigrants coming into our country. Because what? Evidently, that doesn't threaten them at all. What threatens them is you and I. And I'm saying this as a way of encouragement. You and I, in our ability to spread truth, and you know, there's more and more constrictions being put on it, but we still have freedom, and we're responsible to use every bit of the freedom that we still have. And I encourage you to do it. And whether you see that you're making a difference or not, I encourage you. I repeat, do it. Pray for people. Pray for people you know. Pray for people that don't know. Pray for that jerk in that car in the other lane that was just rude to you. Pray for the person you know. You can pray for people, and you can pray for God's will to be done in their life. You can pray that they come into repentance. These are the prayers God will listen to and will answer. As to what Putin does, I can't control that. But let's focus on what we can do. We're trying to be awake and aware as possible and realize what's going on to make the best decisions we're able to make. But ultimately, you have to come to God. You can't rely on what your pastor says, what your buddy says. You've got to, God, show me the truth. Give me discernment. What do I need to be doing? What do I need to be focused on? That's where we can take action. And that's where this is not about fear, as everyone on this show has already said. We need to be as proactive as possible. And listen, things can be discouraging, and they can hit you with frequencies that do make you depressed and do make you anxious. And that is a reality, but we've got to pray. We've got to be engaging in spiritual warfare.
Exactly.
That's the point.
Exactly. Prayer. Thank you. I do want to give an update before we close down. Jova over here has just been upgraded to a category 5 with sustained winds of 161 miles an hour. So we're going to have to keep an eye on Jova. It looks like it's going to be heading up into Mexico and possibly into the southwest here in the United States. So we're going to keep an ie on that in the next few days. Yeah. Do want to thank everybody for joining us today. I want to thank, of course, everybody on the panel. Let me close this down.
I'd just like to leave us with a footnote, Laurie, before we go. I'd just like to announce to a certain person out in the world, when we had the Underground Resistance Network, we did not pay for our 72,000 subs. I can't even pay for a pint of milk now and these days, let alone that. Yeah, everything that we've done from the time we met until right now has been organic. Yeah. Correct. And that's how it stays, and that's how it always be. Yeah,
free, and it's free. We don't charge. We don't monetize. We don't play those games. So, thank you for saying that, Robbie. Appreciate it. All right, guys. I want to thank everybody on the panel. Of course, I want to thank Robbie D for joining us. Robbie, you can come back anytime. You know that. Big John, better late than never, love. Glad you had a chance to make it, and of course, Marcus Kaiser. And we want to thank everybody in our chat room for joining us tonight. And remember, do your own due diligence. Don't believe anything we say. You have the ability. We give you the tools. We give you the information. Please, use that. Go forward. And of course, what Marcus says, we need to pray. And until next time, guys, remember, eyes open, no fear.